hard thing to say. When I first met you, I stuck my foot into my mouth a time or two. But you didn't put me down, you didn't walk away. You just kept listening to every word I'd say. That's when I knew you were the one, and we were on our way, making one good time every single day. Then you told a joke I'd heard before, but the way you told it made me laugh some more. And all the way back home, just thoughts of you. That's when I knew, that's when I knew, that's when I knew.
Yeah, you know, most of these videos are never scripted, right? We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants and be who we are, and that is what you get. All them impatience, I start them from seed, and they're just now starting to get pretty good size. There's still a lot of short ones in there. Hoping next month, I still need to trim back some columbines. By next month they have the yard full of nice color. But what we got going on here, of course by the title, this is a little second video for me, my second top 12 video. And why a second one? Because I think maybe some people kind of misunderstood it by the first one, but it's really all about whatever your top 12 favorites are, you know. And of course, for some of us that's been doing this a while, you know, some of our favorites tend to be some of our best finds, but that's not all of them, you know. It was kind of like one of my friends commented, you know, that may be his whole collection, you know. Well, you know, it doesn't matter what one person finds, the material it's made out of, the region it's made, or whatever. They're all great finds. So, you know, come on, let's see yours. Whatever your top 12 favorites are. But this year was one of my first bird points I ever found, and it come from the very first shelter I ever dug in. That's where this here come from. This little table rock is actually one of my only full table rocks. It has that classic base, heavily ground. And this here, it's been called a lot of different things. It's kind of bright out here. Look at how a little bit get the flaking to show up good now. See, it shows the color good, but doesn't show the flaking worth a darn. It's been called a lot of different things, but I'm pretty sure it's a kirk. Come out of the layer where the beginning of a bunch of broken rice lobed points come from. And then this point was a totally different color. It was probably all translucent at one time, possibly, but for some reason that tan clay dirt, because it had moisture in it, patinaed everything except for the bird point, because it was still a little higher, and that pocket all brown. You know, and a lot of times favorites may be a favorite for a different reason than being just some perfect killer point, you know, your top point of whatever, you know. I guess here, this is a rice lobed point. It has this hafted, obtuse, blunt tip to it. Not really quite a blunt, but sort of, kind of. Killer material. All that looks like it was worked off that way. That's a creek find. But all my rice lobes don't have none of the dirt. Hopefully one of these days. Then, excuse me. This one here is a killer favorite. And it's one of them that, you know, it's been in the creek so long, You know, it's hard to say for certain what it is, but down this edge, down to here, had a nice beveling on it. And then the same on this one, but only down to about here. But this has some killer flaking on it. This has been called a lot of different things. I just call it a transitional lance point. Killer piece, always a favorite. How I found this thing is why it's one of my favorites also. But I only seen a spot of it, maybe smaller than my thumbnail, inside of a bunch of big rocks in a hole that was probably about 2 foot deep. I was standing in just staring at all them rocks looking for something. I seen this little shine and I juked at it with my stick, and I kid you not, I seen this thing come floating up in the water doing this number. It did this and come back and boom, landed flat on a rock like that. And my jaw literally dropped. I could not believe it. Then this one here is actually on video from a few years ago. My only Scott's Bluff. And our creeks are pretty rough to them, so it's beat its tip plumb off. But just killer flaking on it. That true Cody complex stuff going on there. Killer find. And this rice right here. Rice side shallow knot. Rice shallow side notch. Blah, 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 is a favorite out of some Just City chert. And like I was saying, our old creeks are pretty rough on them for tip wise. This is probably one of my nicer creek tipped points. And I just love it all together, plus how I found it. This here's a favorite. Everybody that's been watching my videos a long time has seen it before, and actually you guys see it every time I show my arm. That's the same point right there. Those were the first and 3 bird points, and that Dina Robbins right there. That was the first things I ever had tattooed on me from over 20 some years, from my very first tattoo on my back. And now before, it didn't used to have that little trigger bite in it, just had that shoulder nicked off, and then a couple old timers at our show said it was made that way, but you know, that side there feels a little bit ground, but that side there, it's always hard to tell. Just some stellar material, man. Stellar material. Out in the big sea, way before the camera ever come out. And this here was my very first Madison point. And this has just a little spot on this side that's uniface, and just a little spot down here that's uniface, but and then it's translucent material. It's so thin, man. I mean, turn it sideways, it just disappears. Just disappears. And before I get to my very last one right there, these here are a couple of favorites. And though these are 10 and 11, they're actually kind of go together. Yeah, where they like this was exactly how I found them. And this was in about 18 inches deep in a dry overhang, second shelter I ever dug in, still in the end of my first year of hunting hard and intelligently, like Indian Trace says. And in shelters you have a wall, and then you dig at the bottom of your wall, and then you come up in your wall, and then all your artifacts, if you don't see them first, they just drop right out and they don't get hurt or nothing. And especially when you got real easy dirt to dig in. And this thing here had dropped first. And I was like, what in the world is that? It's like, are you kidding me? I was like, no way. Well, I looked up in the wall, and I seen that sticking out about like that much. And I pulled it out of there. And then now, after I dug those out, I went about this much farther, and one of the best fire pits I had ever come across was a good sized circle. And I still have the charcoal in the house in a container where I had some pieces come out that were that big in your hand, where you could literally hold on to them. And this all come out of a Dixon layer, a Dina Dixon layer, so, you know, anywhere between 2,500 and 3,500 years old. But they're definitely eccentrics. But if you look at that right there, that looks like a horned animal head. Now, what would they be if they were together? You know, if people forget, you know, back in, you know, when the white man showed up here, there was millions and millions and millions of buffalo. Imagine how many buffalo were around back then. Besides deer and elk and all that, that was a very staple food of theirs. So that's what that there reminds me of. It's a buffalo head. You know, I don't know if I was an Indian back then trying to make something look like a running buffalo. That's probably what it would look like. A running buffalo. And then, what's really cool on these, when I get the camera to show it good, every one of them notch areas is heavily ground red in there because they ground it all with hematite. And see how that outer core's left in them two places? I really believe that that's solidly intentional, that they left that outer core in them places. Maybe not, but this thing here too's the same way. I mean, it's ground outside the notches, but man, inside the notches, it's just crazily ground. And that little bit, no, I'd say it just may have happened when they were napping it. And this has some killer flaking on it. Some killer flaking. And then this here, this here's a really cool point. This is from Moab, Utah. Found in 1958 by my father. The only arrowhead he's ever found. And when he found it, when he got home, he was actually out playing cowboys and Indians with my aunts and uncles, and then my great uncle, because he was really close to their age and lived with my grandma and grandpa, and they all lived out of a giant airstream back then, and my grandpa worked all over the country. But they were out playing. My dad sat down on this rock, and this sat right there in front of him. And took it home, and my grandma put it in her jewelry case, and that's where it stayed till about 3 years ago, till she passed away. So for over 50 some years, it stayed put away. And then when my dad got it, I told him last year that was all I wanted for Christmas. Well, that's what I got right there. That little jewel right there. And then what's ironic about it is that's where them petroglyphs there are from. Moab, Utah. Now, I don't know if I believe in fate, but I do believe in circumstantial coincidence. Just killer. So, I hate to make another super long video, but I wanted to show them all real good. You know, as you see, some of them ain't perfect, and honestly, I could do probably 4 or 6 top 12 videos if I would have started by categorizing them all down from, like, say, creek points to dug items to bird points to woodland points, transitional points, you know. But, you know, what everybody finds is what everybody finds, you know. We love them all. Doesn't matter what they are, where they come from, because it all begins with the people that made them. So, Here again, once again. And a couple people said they were going to, but they had a couple other things to do. Here's another invite. Let's see your top 12 favorites. Get out. Go find. Go love up some nature perfection.
That's when I knew you were, and we were on our way, making one good time every single day, making one good time